Happy New Year! Greeting for exchange of the midnight and well wishes for the new year. Let's go to England or France. I'm finally gonna graduate this year or some like another normal year. But like they say, if life was predictable, it would cease to be life and be without flavor. Dear audience, within a month, news filled with a pandemic compelling people to stay confined in their homes. School, restaurants, shops, business getting closed and life disheveled. Yes, dear fellows, at that point, I actually realized the beauty of life amidst a deadly pandemic. A pandemic taught me that even stepping out of your own house and inhaling a breath of fresh air was a blessing. It taught me about all those little things which I thought didn't matter, from meeting with friends, going to school, going on dinner, to how important a roll of sanitizer and a mask was. Hearing the news of millions of people unemployed every day and children aching for a single bite of food made me realize that how privileged I was. Hearing the news of hundreds and thousands of people dying every day with no hope proved that health is the utmost wealth and concern. Being in quarantine for months also proved that humans are social creatures and they cannot live without social contact. As Aristotle said, human by nature is a social animal. The most important thing that COVID taught me that with our privileges, our plans, our dreams, our failures, as we remake our lives, but what is not in our control is life. Without the warning, life changes. Without the warning, life ends. But what we can do is show an expression of gratitude to be able to fight through COVID. To sum it up, life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be sometimes happy and sometimes rough. But every time we face up and down, it makes us stronger. And dear fellows, that's what COVID did. Thank you.
Respected Sir Principal, Madam Vice Principal, respected teachers, and my dear school fellows. Good morning and Assalamu Alaikum. I, Yadi Shakil from C1 is here to speak on the topic COVID-19 taught me. COVID-19 hit us without warning. What started out in December 2019 as an isolated outbreak of respiratory illness led rapidly to a health emergency of international concern and being declared as the pandemic on 11th of March 2020. Dear audience, the impact of this pandemic is much larger than recent outbreaks such as Ebola and SARS. It will be a shame if we don't learn lessons during this pandemic and we end up returning to our old habits of doing things. Dear fellows, in this COVID period, I learned that we human beings are fragile by ourselves. Our strength lies in being part of a community. We don't live without relationships, and we should not forget that. This COVID situation also showed us that we are same regardless of our religion, culture, customs, language. Whether we are rich or poor, the virus simply does not choose. It reminded us that who we are. Dear audience, I'm aware of what have taken away from us, and sadly, we can do nothing about it. But we are not powerless. If each of us respect measures taken by the authorities, this situation will pass much more faster than expected. As Sun Tzu says, and I quote, "In the midst of chaos, there is always an opportunity." Dear audience, in the end, I would like to say, life is a lesson which we learn and will continue to learn every day. Thank you.
Good morning, Assalamu Alaikum. I am Ahmed Alvi from class C1. Today I got the opportunity to talk on the topic if I were an education minister. However, before we get on to that, I would like to talk about what education really is. To me, education is a continuous progress because we human beings learn something new every day, and as soon as we learn it, we like to share it around the world. In academic purposes, education means coming to school to gain basic information. For me, schools are machines, finely calibrated to the needs of each and every student to make sure he or she gets the highest possible standard of education. However, being a student and being so close to the education system, I am well aware that there are many flaws in the education system. So, if I were an education minister, I would make sure that the schools have the highest possible standard. To make sure of this, I would check the grades of the teacher and make sure there is proper furniture in every school. After making sure the existing institutions have a good level of education, I would move to the rural areas because I am well aware that the people over there do not get proper education. I would build schools, colleges and universities over there. I would turn down the fees for those who cannot afford a proper education because I believe everyone deserves a fair chance at education. Moreover, I would also make sure that schools present a healthy and clean environment for the students to study in. I know many other people believe that the best way of education is to put the things you've learned into practical use. So, if I were an education minister, I would build many labs in the school so students can put what they have learned into practical life. If I were an education minister, I would make an app in which the students can submit their complaint. This is because although I would try my best, I know that the best way to make the education reach its peak level is by taking the advice of the students because they are very close to the education systems and are aware of even the tiniest of the flaws. In the end, if I were an education minister, I would make sure the standard of education in our country is at the highest. Moreover, I believe that by doing this, not only the students would succeed in their life, but also the country, because students right now will be the workers in the next generation, and if they succeed, our country will succeed. I would like to thank you all for giving me your time. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Vulnerable Principal, worthy teacher, and my dear fellows, today I am here to deliver my speech on what COVID 19 had taught us. Trying to find a silver lining in the pandemic while it's still raging may be a fool errand, but evidences abound that the curse of coronavirus had some positive effects on us both individually and collectively. Dear audience, during this past year, the COVID 19 pandemic has turned our lives upside down and changed not just the way we live and work, but also the way we think and behave. Every part of the world has been affected and every aspect of the life has been impacted. Our everyday routine were brought to a halt and any sense of normalcy was lost. Dear audience, washing hands more often, wearing masks, taking extra care of hygiene and health are making their ways into new normalcy. In our routines, we are making some adjustments consciously and unconsciously that may last much longer than the virus and will serve us well into the future. Consciously, we are taking extra precautions and trying to think how our actions might affect others. Unconsciously, we are absorbing the old lessons of the survival that have lain dormant for a century or so. Based on observation, it seems that we are becoming more empathetic and caring. Dear audience, COVID 19 had taught me that this creed of human isn't as strong as it appears to be. It taught me that we only plan, but Allah is the one who decides. It gave us time to spend with our loved ones and understand and feel the real essence of the love. With this, I, Rafa Iman, am signing off.
Honorable Sir Principal, dear teachers, and my fellow students, Assalamu alaikum. I sincerely hope that you're all happy and healthy wherever you are, especially after the trying year we've all had to face. Some of us came face to face with our mortality, while others lost treasured ones. To some it was the most trying year of their lives, to others it was a glorious relief. While some utilized the time and did something useful, others just wasted it. The truth of that matter lies purely in circumstance, which is a fact I've come to believe over the past year. We all have different point of views regarding life, its meaning. As for me, the pandemic made me believe that life is short. I mean, you could be alive one second and gone the next. Same goes for your loved ones or the ones we care about. So this teaches us not to take even a second that we've been given for granted, make amends where needed, and just be grateful. The pandemic also showed me how blessed I am to be healthy in a world where people are dying of a disease. I mean, people tend to take health for granted, and I say stop, just stop. Stop and talk to those less fortunate and be grateful for what you've been given, for what you've been granted. It's a blessing. People would kill to have what you have, to have that blessing. Wherein all that, I also learned that having face to face classes is a hell of a lot better than having online classes or having no classes at all. Now, I know most of you are going to disagree with me there, but you have every right to do so. But just having classes at home or not having classes at all, and then not being able to go out due to the lockdown, due to the pandemic, it just makes life dull. And well, it was one of my least favorite experiences during the pandemic. I'm sure some of you will have had a similar experience to mine, and if you've been listening to me blabbing for about 2 minutes, then you would have learned that life is short and, well, health is a blessing.
Mr. President, respected teachers, and my dear fellows, Assalamu alaikum. If my wish is fulfilled, I'll help the students reach the top of the mountain of knowledge. If I become the education minister, I shall do a lot for the students. First of all, I'll try to set up as many schools as I could, especially in villages. My fellows, education is a continuous and a commutative process. We as human beings are learning all the time. As we learn, we teach. There are main establishments for that process in our contemporary societies, mainly home and school. In terms of academic education, a person joins a school and gains the basic knowledge from it. Is that all what we expect from our schools? Mr. President, from my point of view, schools help satisfying a student. Aphorism says, eat to live, not live to eat. In expansion, I'll say, live to learn and learn how to live. We have the right to participate in different humanity aspects of our life. We need to learn, play, eat, talk, read, enjoy, think, imagine, share, laugh, and even sometimes we need to cry. If we can do all these things in schools, then I can say that we have a good education standard. My fellows, is that the case in our schools? Of course not. In reality, the situation is completely frustrating. A wise man said, "It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education." And in comparison, I would say, if the contemporary education methodology itself is killing the curiosity, then what can survive it anymore? The audience. One of my greatest aims as an education minister is to make universal education in Pakistan a reality. Many say that it is impossible to educate all our people in cities, towns, and villages in absence of suitable funds. But as a minister, I shall suggest agricultural and industrial reforms for a better economy. When the economy improves, the government would have enough funds to open new schools and spend on education. Dear Fatmins, I feel that when a country lays down its education policy, it should be very clear about what it wants to turn out from the places of education and what we want our children to become. My dream to become the education minister may come true one day. Then I shall do everything that I've just described. Thank you.
Commencement is with the name of Allah, the most beneficent and most merciful. Good morning and Assalamu alaikum to you all. In the past year, 2020, the most terrible year to occur, the students were deprived of their on-campus educations, families separated, people lost their jobs, businesses collapsed, and most importantly, the entire world went into quarantine. There was just one single word on every tongue, COVID-19. Dear fellows, even though there were many catastrophes and chaos, there was a silver lining. In fact, if we have a deeper view, we might see COVID-19 as a curse, a punishment, but in reality, it just might be a blessing in disguise. COVID-19 locked me up and brought many opportunities alongside it. Being isolated from rest of the world, it gave me a chance to bond with my family and an abundance of time for my own personal interests. Being cut off from the outdoor life, I managed to spare some time for my skills. Thus, COVID 19 taught me the importance of time. Dear audience, COVID 19 took away from me my school and made me and rest of us crave for a normal life. But at the same time, it made me realize the importance of what we had and what we still have. Most importantly, the pandemic taught me that no matter how grave the situation may be, we have and we will and we have to survive. Thank you.
Worthy Principal, Madam Vice Principal, and distinguished guest. Assalamu alaikum and very warm greeting to all. In the last year, 2020, the worst year named by mankind, we have faced deaths, we have suffered a mix of emotions, and we have witnessed chaos and confusion because of many reasons, but majorly the one imprinted in every mind, COVID-19. Dearest audience, it is a disaster. That is what we all believe. It has put us in misery and pain. This is what we tell ourselves each day. It has been nothing but a nuisance. Yes, it's the truth. But ladies and gentlemen, what we have failed to realize is that it is not the entire truth. Yes, Mr. President, it put us all in isolation. But within this isolation, we found out how we are all interconnected. By staying away or staying bound with them, we learned the importance of our families and friends. We learned that we need them in order to cope up with such crises. Dearest fellows, yes, it left us all bound to our homes and sent the world to shut down, but through this, we learned how to and we realized that we can and will survive in the toughest of scenarios. Respected listeners, yes, sadly, it made us part with many we loved. But through all of this, we have come to realize how much important they are to us and how much harm our negligence can cause to them. Mr. President, in the end, I'd like to say, COVID-19 is all bad things, but we cannot ignore the values it has inculcated in us. It has taught us who we really are and what we really need. It has taught us that love, sacrifice, and humanity can bring the world back into light from even the darkest of times. It has taught us that no matter what caste, what creed, what color, and what nationality, we need to work together as a single entity if we want this world to move on. With this, I thank you all.
Well, teacher and my dear friends, Assalamu alaikum. Let me tell you a simple rule of nature in few words. When I don't do it, I am lazy. When my boss doesn't do it, he is too busy. When I take a long time, I am slow. When my boss takes a long time, he is thorough. When I do something without being told, I am being smart. When my boss does the same thing, he is being initiative. When I pleases my boss, I am apple polishing. When my boss pleases his boss, he is cooperating. When I do good, my boss never remembers. When I do wrong, my boss never forgets. Fellows, inevitably the number of bosses that we must have ran through must be more than the number of colors in the sky, and each one unique in their own right. You would have had the ill fate of having the control freak boss who loves to listen to his own voice and is himself his biggest fan. Every word uttered from their mouth is the gospel truth, nothing but the truth. Sometimes you might have felt that if they could, they would even dictate how much air you should breathe in, all because by virtue of him or her being the boss, he is always right, right? Boys and girls, a relationship between your boss and you should be built upon a philosophy in which you agree to disagree and can still work without wanting to slit each other's throat. The flip side is, life is not always fair. If your boss is determined to screw you, anticipate it and be ready to accept it. We are all programmed to not like our bosses because the rule of nature is they're not to be liked. At times I felt that I can not simply work with such a dumb person and that it is an insult to my capabilities to work under such a person who thinks that whatever he or she says is a universal truth. Audience, when you hear the word boss, do you think of a controlling officer at work? Mr. Controlling Officer likes to make a command and snap his fingers to get his work done in a jiffy. Did you say, boss, I think? The CEO says, when I want you to think, I'll tell you. Oh, don't do not go and pull a patch of your hair out because the boss is not always right, but you need to be in the right place at the right time to prove what the audience the boss is always right is the most dangerous unwritten rule in which we follow in the workplaces. Pretending that boss is always right undermines the organization mission and work goals. Friends, I will tell you two rules which will help you in your job. Now, rule number 1, boss is always right. Rule number 2, if he is wrong, refer to rule number 1. No matter what, boss is always right.
Respected teacher and my mindful companions, Assalamu alaikum. The topic of my speech is what COVID-19 taught me. Now, I don't like to admit it, but I am a procrastinator. In fact, I wrote this speech at the 11th hour. So, when the first lockdown was initiated and it was announced that school would be shut down and that online schooling would begin, I was absolutely euphoric at the fact that I would have more time to play video games and watch movies. It sounded like a win-win situation to me. However, 2 weeks later, the situation was quite different. I had become tired and frustrated. Online schooling had made me sad. I had less time to talk to my friends, and as a result, I became socially isolated. But with the help of my friends and family, I was able to get out of that zone and I was able to defeat the negative thoughts. I began jogging, reading books, and talking with my friends. And while I was reading a book, I read a very interesting passage, and it says, "Adversity presents itself in many forms, and if a man does not master his circumstances, he is bound to be mastered by them." This line made me realize that I was in a self-destructive phase and that I needed to work on myself. As a result, it helped me get out of that phase. Now, the second thing that online school taught me was that if online schooling was to be made effective, or if it were to replace physical school, it needed some serious improvement and revampment. First of all, the lessons needed to be more proactive. The lessons should include infographics or informative videos, and assignments needed to be more project-based instead of endless worksheets. Secondly, what this pandemic taught me was that humanity is the main religion of the people, and that this crisis brought out humanity from the people. Because when the people worked together and stayed inside, the world changed and the earth healed. Pollution was at an all-time low. The coronavirus cases decreased drastically, and because of this, we saw light at the end of the tunnel, as balance was finally being restored. This also taught humanity how to face uncertainty and make the most out of it. Lastly, I would say when the people stayed inside and some of them made art, while others read books, while some watched movies, while some meditated, some danced, and some met their shadows. And at the end of this, we all got together. We grieved our losses and we moved on. And because of this, the earth healed, the people healed, and people knew how to face such troubling times again. I thank you all.
Mr. President, respected teachers and my dear class fellows, good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Today, I, Daniel, am here to deliver a speech on the topic exam pressure and how to handle it. Every student gets under the huge pressure of their exams, as their only aim is to score high in their exams and get the top position in their class. Thus, they are always under a tremendous pressure. As exams are a crucial part of education and a source of stress for many students. Schools hold exams and assessments just to check the preparation and understanding of a student, so that the student gets to know of his mistakes and prepares well for the next exams. Moreover, another reason of the exam stress is the large expectations of the parents and the teachers, which pressurize the students to complete their homework and show good results during exams. Due to this pressure, their decision-making capability and self-confidence is shattered. This pressure lowers their confidence from 100% to 20% and discourages the students to try more. In addition, there are many ways in which this exam pressure can be handled. Some of them I will inform you about today. Number 1. You should believe in yourself. For example, if you have prepared well, there should be no reason to worry about. Instead of thinking, if I don't get 70%, I am a failure. Think, whatever I get, I should be proud of myself and value how much I have already achieved. Number 2. If you feel like you are struggling in a topic, you should ask for help from your teachers or your colleagues, as asking for help is never shameful. Due to the shortage of time, I will be unable to talk deeply about these problems, but I will briefly tell you about its solutions. An easy solution is to eat, sleep, and exercise well, as during exam days, students prepare till late night and destroy their routine. And when they wake up in the morning, they are under a huge pressure of exams. Lastly, remember to breathe in the hole and set goals before exams. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.
Worthy Principal, respected teachers, and my dear fellows, Assalamu alaikum. Today, I feel honored to have gotten a chance to share with you my views about what COVID-19 taught me. Dear audience, about a year ago, the world faced an enemy that dashed it to the ground. An enemy that took with it thousands of innocent souls, an enemy that shattered our so-called pride that we are a superpower, and an enemy that showed us just how pathetic and weak we are. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the enemy, coronavirus. The world underwent a lockdown, but with every con comes a pro. COVID may have broken us, but taught me a few very significant lessons. We don't live better than our forefathers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. COVID-19 showed us that we do not live better than our forefathers. It took us back to the dark ages where even the simplest of ailments were considered incurable and the sick were left to die. It showed us that even with our advanced technology and sciences, we the humans are just as vulnerable as we were all those centuries ago. Secondly, dear audience, I learned never to underestimate anything.
An enemy as small as a virus was able to take thousands of innocent souls without seeing race, color, gender, language, nationality, social status, or bank balance, whether it was the President of the United States of America or the beggar of a third world country, the son of a businessman or the son of a fisherman, everyone became its target. So yes, dear audience, I learned that money can't buy you a single second. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, I learned just how dependent we are. During lockdown, world came to a halt. When panic spread its shackles everywhere, when the feeling of terror was in the air, when everywhere danced despair, nature got its chance to glare. During the time when humans were at the mercy of a virus, Mother Nature got its chance to smile, its chance to shine, its chance to live, its chance to thrive. Amongst many things that COVID-19 taught me, one of the most significant lessons was man proposes, God disposes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. COVID-19 showed us that no matter how super plans we make, there'll always be a superpower bigger than us. No matter how mighty we may call our technology, there will always be an almighty reminding us just how mighty we really are. COVID-19 may have broken us and burned us to the ashes, but taught me an unforgettable lesson. No matter how many times we get burned, like a phoenix out of the ashes, we can rise again to tell the enemy that no, we won't surrender. Coronavirus or COVID-19 was also referred to by some people as darkness due to the cloak of darkness it covered the world in. But let me tell you all, darkness isn't the absence of light. It is the fear that light will never return. But no matter how dark the night may get, dawn and light will always come. Coronavirus may now be weak, but it hasn't surrendered, and the second wave of COVID is deadlier than the first one. So stay home, stay safe, and follow the COVID safety measures. With this, I, Uruj Wasim Khan, thank you all.